welcome to a solo game of Axis and Allies Battle of the Bulge that I was fortunate enough to find at a secondhand store. And I have never played this before because it's a pretty rare game. And so I'm going to be trying to figure out how this works. I'm going to video after each round, but I might not get everything correct, and it is a solo game, so I'm completely fine with that. And it's mainly just me experimenting to see how this really cool game works. So yeah, now I guess it's on to turn 1 recap one. And turn 2. Because I just realized that this game comes with a in-game turn counter because it's important how the game functions. What has happened on the front line? Well, the Germans advanced in a few positions. One in the south, involving this taking of Dierkirch. I won't be able to pronounce most of the city names. So they got 2 victory points from that, and I need a total of 24 to win. So, on their way. They also overran American positions here and here. And in these attacks, they captured a total of 7 pieces of supplies, which are key to being able to move your units. The Americans then abandoned the city of Clairvaux. It used to have 5 supply at the beginning of the game. They moved it away because they knew that the infantry was going to get overran anyway. So, this way, it didn't happen. It's just as easy. Now, let's see. The other stuff that the Americans did is an overall withdrawal from wherever they could and trying to set up a new defensive line. You can see supply trucks. These are not motorized. They are supply trucks that can move units and supplies. So put 2 on the front line, obviously, to move those units away before the Germans can get supply there. Overall, the Germans are mainly slowing down because of their lack of fuel. So very realistic to the actual battle. Anyway, we're now going to move on and go to round 3. Turn 3 is over. At the beginning of turn 4, let's see what has happened to the Ardennes. Well, the Allies got to attack first, or take the initiative first, this round. So the Allies took this to try and prevent the Germans from attacking St. Vith this turn, which, with many tanks having lots of supply, a great feat for the Germans, they were very scared of, which kind of makes sense, considering they didn't have many defenses there, and could have easily been overwhelmed. Since then, they bolstered up the defense at St. Vith to try and defend it as hard as they can. Now, it's been 3 turns in an 8-turn game. and the Germans are now making their first real major offensive. Basically, up here in the north, this city, Eppen, has been taken by a force of German tanks. Sorry about that. I was a bit confused by something. I had to represent a supply truck with a German soldier over a supply token, because though this game, when I got it, had enough supply trucks for all the setup, it did not have enough for when the Axis commandeered one of the Allies. I mean, it was $3.50, so not that bad. Anyway, more advances have also been made by Vestal, with 2 major tiles being taken. And with this, a road to St. Vith is reopened, even though these 2 tanks were attacked with 4 tank divisions and were just fought off. None of them hit, so that wasn't too good for the Americans. And while it may seem like the Germans are gaining the upper hand, do notice that after turn 8, the whole game ends. And on turn 5, Allies get to start using their air force, which will tip the scales quite a bit. Anyway, now let's see what happens at the end of round 4. Now we move on to round 5. This will be the start of air combat. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, with the Americans just about guaranteed to get aerial superiority if they try. So on the front, forgot to change this. Oops. So, on the front, the Americans have made a push to try and protect St. Vith from the south. The Germans responded with a few things. One, they did an almost all in. They kept a few tanks back. Attack up here at Vevers to try and take the city and continue this northern push to get a lot more victory points, because they need to get 24. They're at 5 and it's halfway through the game. This was almost guaranteed success. Almost, because they didn't capture territory. It wasn't pretty, no. They really should have won, but they didn't. They also made another attack at here, and they destroyed 1 tank. The Americans down here made 2 attacks, 1 in each of these hexes, killing 1 and pushing 3 tanks, or 2 tanks back, and here killing 1 and pushing 1 tank back to try and stop the Germans' rapid southern advance as well. Though considering that they now have 3 tanks sitting on fuel and a lot more over here, there's going to be some major push somewhere really soon. They'll probably go up to the north again, but I don't know, Vestal could be a possible candidate. Overall, it was a pretty uneventful round, and with aerial combat coming in, it seems that the Germans are going to come to an end. Anyway, now let's move on and see the end of round 5.